buddy.
Enormous. So hold on a minute. Come here.
This cat is a shadow.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, they are like.
Are you jealous? We're coming over.
So I'm Logan, and I'm the director of Kindred Spirits Sanctuary located in Ocala, Florida, and we are a 501c3 nonprofit farmed animal rescue. We started in 2003. Our original founders founded this as just a place for, abused, abandoned, and neglected farmed animals to live out their lives. I started volunteering here back in 2006, and in 2010 I took it over, and at that point we decided to become open to the public. We wanted to become a vegan education facility and a farmed animal rescue.
Okay. And how did you end up being in charge of the whole operation from being a volunteer?
So I was volunteering here originally for like the first year, just after work. I would come, and then I quit my job at the zoo and came here full time. And at that time, they were kind of going through some shifts in their family, and they weren't sure what was going to happen with the sanctuary. And I just kind of bravely put my hand up and said, "I'll do it."
Awesome. Okay.
I don't want to see it disappear. I want it to continue, and I have some ideas. So
you have like training from being in the zoo?
Yeah. So even now, like, my role is executive director, so I do oversee all of our programs and things. But caregiving is my favorite part of the job. Like, that's who I am as a person. That's what makes me happy. I like to be around the animals and giving them what they need. So yeah, I thought I could learn all the business stuff, but I knew that I knew how to do this part. So yeah, that was kind of a learning process, learning taxes and when to file what papers, and like I'm still, always learning in that area. But I think having the passion for them is what drives that and what makes it worth it.
Absolutely. So it's just you and your husband that run this?
So technically now we have 6 staff members. Okay. So last year in April we started our veterinary care program. So we have a full-time veterinarian on staff who sees not only to these animals, but we provide free veterinary care to other sanctuaries who are providing care for farmed animals. So we started that because we just noticed, even in our own kind of experience, that most veterinarians who deal with these animals see them as food producing animals. Mm-hmm. So when it comes to if they're sick or if they need something, they look at them and say, well, Henry is a food animal, so he can't have certain medications, or he's maybe not worth a certain level of treatment. So we wanted to fix that, and that kind of spurned our growing in our staff numbers. So yeah, my husband, he does all the inside stuff that I hate. I leave him those jobs. And then we have the veterinarian, one full-time caregiver, a part-time caregiver, and then marketing and education outreach person. So
okay, cool. So who all lives on the property?
So just my husband and I live here. Okay. So for now.
Awesome. So you got what, a 12-hour-a-day gig over here?
Yeah, I mean it's 24. It really depends. Like recently we have a goat who's been really sick, so she gets meds every 4 hours. Okay. Around the clock.
So when you have that situation, do you bring them like close to the house?
I try to get them. If they're small, they go inside. Okay. If not, like she's actually in this barn, so I do actually have to wake up in the middle of the night, put clothes on, drive down to the barn. But she needs it, so
right.
But goats have no problem like invading your personal bubble.
So when you introduce new animals to each other, like how long does that usually, do they usually adjust well, or do certain animals do better than others?
It depends. Like right behind you is a perfect example. So Wyatt, when he first came, he is a fainting goat, and he never knew any other goats, and he was scared to death. Like every time he took a step, he would faint and fall down and cry. And we had just rescued Ruby shortly after we tried to introduce him. We'd pulled him back up at the house. We didn't know what we were going to do with him. But she came to us from a research facility where she was regularly impregnated, and then all her pregnancies were terminated. And so we decided to introduce the two of them, and she is his adopted mom. So he does great out here now, but if he cries or gets upset, she runs to protect him. She always wants to know where he is. So sometimes they do have a rough time, and it's more about like trying to find exactly where they go. Not, just because you're a goat doesn't mean this is the group for you. Like we have our goat Mojo who lives with our sheep. So we always try to be open to that too, that, not everybody is, as brave as everybody else. And this is a little bit of a rough and tumble group. The goats do love to headbutt and be kind of naughty.
So who's this?
This is Ruby, and Ruby's leaving.
Okay.
I'm gonna be in your story. See you later. My baby needs me.
Right.
But Ruby is, I don't know, I was just attracted to her from the time we got her. She's got a really neat personality. She came to us from a research facility. So a lot of times those guys are quiet and they don't really like people because why would they? People do horrible things to them and then dump them. So she's just always been really fun loving and really sweet, and so that's why I got her tattooed on my person.
Awesome.
She's just, I don't know, something about her. She's all goat. Now she's eating your pants.
That's okay. Hey, you.
She's like, this is what goats do. We eat your pants when you look away.
Hey, Ruby.
She's a good girl though.
So how come they do this? What does this mean when they're they rub you and
so they have scent glands everywhere. They're marking you and making sure that everyone knows you're their favorite best friends today. And then Bert actually is the son of that goat over there that looks kind of like him. She's like, oh gosh. That's Mary Poppins. And they came to us. They're going to be used for a Santeria sacrifice before they came to us. But she was so malnourished that she couldn't get up and walk, and so animal control got called, and it ended up being what saved them.
I know this is a broad question, but where do the animals usually come from? How do you acquire all these animals?
It is a broad question, but so one of our requirements here is that when someone calls us about an animal, which we get calls every day, so we look back at our mission statement and we say, is this animal abused, abandoned, neglected? Are they from a factory farm? Do they have a special need? Is there another option for each individual? Because we do get, I think in January alone this year we had 63 calls for placement. So we get a lot of them. So if the answer to that is yes, then we begin to say, okay, this animal is in wherever, Georgia, North Carolina. Is there somewhere closer that can offer them a good home so that they don't get the stress of moving to Florida? And then if not, then we bring them in. And we also work with large organizations, Farm Sanctuary, HSUS, PETA, ASPCA, Humane Societies. So a lot of those places know if they're looking for homes, they can reach out to us. And if we have availability, then we help. But for the most part, everyone here is from abuse, abandonment, neglect, or directly out of a factory farm. We worked with carnivores and primates before.
At the zoo.
Yeah, totally different mentality, totally different way of working around them. So I had to learn it as I knew them.
Totally.
Which is, I do best in situations where I have to do something, oh, I have to learn this because they need me to, as opposed to oh, I've got time, it's really no big deal. I wasn't.
What's the matter? You getting peed on, babe?
I think so.
That's fine. It's the life we live,
Yeah.
The real authentic stuff right here.
Yeah.
Getting peed on by this beauty.
Everyone's peeing today. I think I saw every animal.
I think you're just exciting the animals
Yeah.
way too much with your glamorous looks.
Wasabi's yep, that's it.
That's what's happening.
Do you have a story for this one?
So actually, Wasabi and all of the chickens hanging out in here with her were from a factory farm. So they're what we call Cornish hens. So they are bred to be food. So they hatch out of an egg, and within 45 days, they weigh over 5 pounds, and they're slaughtered at 45 days.
Wow.
These girls, a couple years ago, instead of getting slaughtered, were pulled from the slaughterhouse to be used in a religious sacrifice.
Wow.
And they somehow managed to survive the religious sacrifice as well, and they were crated up on the streets of New York to die. And some activists came by and saw them, and managed to save them, and we agreed to take them because I've always wanted the Cornish hens. They're so different than the laying hens that, we want to be able to show the difference. So And they're super sweet girls. Yeah, till someone like Michelle, who's in charge of me,
Washing
comes
pee
along.
off my hands. This is the life, you guys.
I am in charge of
Living my best life.
Living my best life.
And the goats just have to be involved in absolutely.
Honey has to be involved in everything. Oscar too, honestly. Yeah, Oscar's like, how about I eat first?
Which ones are these?
This is Felicia.
Two
The girl
Felicias
laying
in the
here.
same room.
Yeah.
Felicias.
Felicia
That's
one.
Biggie Smalls.
Right
okay,
there.
I knew. Okay, I thought so.
Felicia 2.
Yeah.
Now, is this the average size of like like a food pig?
Yeah, so these guys, if they're allowed to grow into adults,
Mm-hmm.
they turn into these 700-pound creatures.
So, but now if they weren't like in the sanctuary setting, do they overfeed them and they get bigger, or
So, well, actually, when they're used for food, they never get to this size. They are slaughtered when they're 6 months old. They only weigh about 250 pounds. So they never actually grow to this size. So we have to deal with a couple issues because of that. Like Felicia has pretty severe arthritis because she was bred to grow to this huge animal by 6 months old when their growth plates aren't closed. Like they're not ready to be that big. They're not ready to support that weight. So unfortunately, in the sanctuary world where we let them keep living, and she's 9 years old now, all of that starts to take a toll on them. So we do try to keep our pigs a little slimmer here and a little bit more trim. And then she's on daily medication for her arthritis, and she gets treatment for that.
how long do they usually live?
So in the sanctuary world, they say around 8 is average. We do have some farm pigs here that are 15, 16. So they can live quite a long time. Some of it's genetics. Like Piggy Smalls has a condition called malignant hyperthermia, so he can't take a lot of different types of medication. He doesn't deal with stress well. So it just depends, and that's a genetic condition that doesn't really matter in the food world. He doesn't live long enough to deal with the repercussions of that. So it kind of depends, but we see like 8 to 10 being a pretty good average.
Are they generally pretty like docile, like the pigs? Or are they more?
I
I haven't really seen them in this setting where they're like moving around and stuff like that.
Pigs are, my husband and I tell everyone they're like 14-year-old girls their whole lives. They're very opinionated. They like to be right. And they really don't like to be told what to do. So, like Felicia, she's on her daily medication. We offer her that in a treat every day. So it's her idea to take it. If we tried to just get her to take it, she would be real sassy about it. But overall, they are, because they're social and very emotional, they are generally very sweet. They have like conflicts in their own groups, but the pigs, for them, it very rarely comes to like physically fighting.
Okay.
Also, like 14-year-old girls, they scream at each other a lot. They make a lot of noise. They get in each other's face and they're really loud, and then they walk away because they don't want to get hurt. They know if they get in a fight, there's a chance they'll get hurt. So generally, it's more drama than it is actually fighting.
Gotcha.
That's Nora.
Nora. Got that?
And Nora is a feral pig. So she is what pigs in the wild look like compared to the big factory guys or the little pot bellies.
Is that why her hair's like that, or they're
All
like that?
pigs have the hair like that, but it comes from the wild pig nature, because if she's running through like brush and trees, helps protect her skin.
Oh yeah. I can see that.
Yep. It's very coarse though. A lot of people don't expect them to be A, so hairy, and then B, it to be such a coarse hair that they have.
Yeah, it doesn't appear that way in photos, like that it's so.
Yeah, and in a lot of
bristly.
movies they actually shave the pigs, so you never know that they have hair.
Right.
So people come and they're like, they have hair. I'm
pink
like, yeah,
ones.
they shave them in
Yeah.
movies. And like 4-H and stuff too, when they show them, they shave them. So a lot of people don't know that they're actually quite hairy.
Yeah.
Okay, so we want to know, how can people find out more about Kindred Spirits Sanctuary? How do you fund an operation like this, and how can people donate?
Oh, the easiest way to find out about us is you can visit our website, which is www.kssfl.org. You can find us on Facebook or Instagram. Both of those are at Kindred Spirits Sanctuary. That's kind of the best way. I say the best way is either our Facebook or Instagram, because we put up information every single day. Every day we put out new photos or video, so we're constantly interacting there. If you're interested in donating, you can do that through our website, which is, once again, www.kssfl.org, or you can mail us a check on our website. Address is there. And I forgot what the other question was.
That's how you get the funding, right? Through all donations?
Yeah,
Yes.
so everything here is funded through donations. So our donors directly provide the care to these guys. So
awesome.
We do have a staff right now, but our staff actually is funded by one individual donor who wanted to donate to that. So
wow.
like the money that most people send us doesn't go
amazing.
to paying me or Michelle or anybody. It goes directly to them.
That's awesome.
Is it usually word of mouth when you find like big donors like that, or?
Yeah, we have to chase them down sometimes. So,
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, you learn to have no shame. But yeah, usually all of our little donations come from people who come here and they meet the animals or they heard about us. And we try to be really good about, thanking our donors and letting them know what we have going on. So
Right. That's so cool.
So are these people typically vegan or not vegan?
There's a mixture. We get a lot of vegans who come here, but we also have a lot of non-vegans who come. They're my favorite people to have come out, because obviously we want vegans to come here and have a good time, but we also want to reach people who aren't vegan to meet them. But yeah, it's a mixture. It really is like a nice mixture of vegans and non-vegans. So cool.
And as far as the events, how do you guys think that they work out? Like, you get a lot of people coming here and you think a lot of education goes on, and that works for you guys?
Yeah, we give tours like 6 times a month on average, and those will range anywhere from like 10 to, I think, like some of the bigger ones we've had have had about 60 people on them. And yeah, I think that's like a major part of our education, because I think once you get up close to a pig and they sling mud all over you, and you get to kiss them, and the goats are friendly and they want to talk to you, and you meet our cows and you get licked and you're like, oh, okay, like, oh, this is a little different than I thought, because we are so far removed from food animals. We're kind of told they're dumb and they live over there and that's okay for them. But I think meeting them is a huge part. And for me it was. When I started as a volunteer here, I ate animals. Like, I was not vegetarian. My husband and I made fun of vegan people, like, openly.
Just a disconnect, I guess.
We're not connected at all to these animals. And then over time, getting to know the animals who lived here, I was like, whoa, I think I'm not going to eat animals anymore. And then like a couple years after that, I was like, or, milk or eggs or any of those things. So I really believe in like the power of making connections with them, because it's what did it for me. For some people it will be reading material or watching a documentary or hearing a story, but for some people you have to get to know them, and then that has the power to make you go, well, I wouldn't eat Nora, she's cool.
Yeah.
So why would I eat anyone like Nora?
Right, exactly.
So I think that's a pretty important part of what we do.
Do you get a lot of conversion stories? Like, do people come here and tell you?
We actually, just at our last event, we had a husband and wife couple who were in charge of grilling our veggie dogs at that event, and she's vegan and he's transitioning, and it's because of like they came to one of our events and ate the food and like hung out with us.
Amazing.
And we talked to them.
Yeah.
So I like that. I like getting to see that people are at least like eating differently,
Right.
even occasionally. We think every meal that someone makes a better choice is a victory.
Right.
So when we can really turn that into like something more, I'm excited by that.
That's
It really,
awesome.
really helps.